About 1 minute. The Wells Report begins in 30 seconds. The Wells Report begins in 15 seconds. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. What do? We report the news. We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. And so we come over here and talk about that. We change the camera angle so you know when we're discussing opinion as opposed to reporting the news. That's what we do on this broadcast. Thanks for joining us. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. There is startling news today, and we need to bring it to you because it involves something that we've been warning about for decades. As a matter of fact, I've been warning about it personally, insofar as what we have is we have a situation in progress where the border has been used to infiltrate the United States. It is unbelievable. It is something that we have to fix and something that we've been calling for having fixed, but so far have not been able to make anything happen. Here is a report from Fox News that I want you to see because it tells it all.
Bill Melugin has got the details. He's in Los Angeles tonight. Bill, what do you got?
Well, John, a federal source with knowledge of this case tells Fox News that 8 nationals of Tajikistan with suspected ties to ISIS were all arrested by ICE and the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force in recent days in New York, Philadelphia, and right here in Los Angeles. Now, Tajikistan is over 7,000 miles away from the southern border, and Fox is told that all 8 of these Tajik nationals crossed illegally into the U.S. and received full vetting by DHS, during which time we're told no derogatory information on them was flagged. We're told potential ties to terrorism and national security concerns flagged later on, after they were apparently released into the U.S. In a joint statement to Fox News, the FBI and DHS confirmed the arrest, saying in part, quote, "As the FBI and DHS have recently described in public and partner bulletins, the U.S. has been in a heightened threat environment. The FBI and DHS will continue working around the clock with our partners to identify, investigate, and disrupt potential threats to national security," end quote. Former acting ICE Director Tom Homan explained what he's hearing about this case from his ICE contacts.
My sources say that only one was arrested on the West Coast. Almost all of them were arrested in the New York area, which is very concerning for New York, because New York's been a target before. And they're being detained, and they're going to keep digging into their files, find out when they cross the country.
Now, John, the FBI, DHS, and our sources haven't said when or where these 8 Tajikistan nationals crossed the U.S. border, but our sources did confirm they did cross illegally. They were not visa overstays.
All right, so there you go, and this is unacceptable. Unacceptable for any reason and any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so they're not telling you when they crossed. They're not telling you where they crossed. That's because nobody's announcing those dates, and that means the government is not telling us. Why? For a very simple reason. If these guys crossed, there were 8 of them. This is my nightmare. If there were 8 of them, each of them carrying a different piece of, say, a nuclear device, they all come into the country illegally. And what ends up happening is they meet in some city, put it together, and blow it up. Now, there are a lot of things in place that would stop that, but there are also a lot of things, this is just being used as an example, there are a lot of things like that. What if these people came across, and they fully vetted, mind you, these people came across fully vetted, Meta did their terrorist work. How many days between the time that they were vetted and allowed into the country has it been since before their arrest? Too many. Too many. This is dangerous. I've said this and said this and said this, and it's still true. That border is wide open. There are people coming here to do this nation harm. I've seen this border myself. It is porous. All manner of contraband, all manner of illegal activity is going across that border every single day. And we don't know how many terrorists are in this nation. Because what we have is we know there are terrorists that have tried to cross the border. They got caught. How many of them didn't get caught? 19 people pulled off the 9/11 attacks. 19. How many terrorists, full-blown, honest-to-goodness, no-kidding terrorists are in this nation now because they crossed the southern border? Here is the full story, the copy, the text from Fox News. 8 Tajikistan nationals with ties to ISIS were busted by U.S. Customs and Enforcement in conjunction with the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Joint Terrorism Task Force in 3 major cities, according to Fox News. This from a federal source. The arrests took place in New York City, Los Angeles, and Philadelphia in recent days, according to the source. All 8 Tajikistan nationals crossed the U.S. southern border illegally, and according to a federal source familiar with the sting, no derogatory information was initially flagged with U.S. Customs and Border Protection or with the Department of Homeland Security during processing. The terrorists were fully vetted. Nothing was flagged, according to Fox News' federal source. Fox News said after the suspected terrorists were released into the United States, derogatory information was flagged with national security concerns, including individuals' ties to ISIS. The sting operation was first reported by the New York Post's Jenny Tare. According to the Tare report, part of the investigation featured a wiretap, which revealed one of the now arrested individuals was talking about bombs. Remember the Boston Marathon bombing? I'm afraid something like that might happen again, or worse, one of the sources told the Post. Good heavens. When contacted by Fox News, the FBI and DHS sent out this statement. Over the last few days, ICE agents arrested several non-citizens pursuant to immigration authorities. The actions were carried out in close coordination with the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force. The individuals arrested are detained in ICE custody pending removal proceedings, as the FBI and DHS has recently described in public and partner bulletins. The U.S. has been in a heightened threat of environment, and the FBI and DHS will continue working around the clock with our partners to identify, investigate, and disrupt potential threats to national security. This all comes as FBI Director Christopher Wray told a Senate Appropriations Subcommittee last week there is an increasing concern of potential coordinated attacks in the U.S., similar to the Islamic State in Khorasan Province, ISIS-K, in March at a concert hall in Russia. Wray told members of the subcommittee when he met with them last year, he walked them through how the U.S. was already in a heightened threat environment, and since then, threats from foreign terrorists have risen to another level. You're kidding. What if these guys just came across the border, immediately went to a movie theater and started shooting people to death? Do you think they might have contacts already in the United States that have all the weapons and ammunition necessary? Why is it these guys were able to cross the border in the first place? Why do we have these greasy assurances from the Biden administration that all these people are being vetted? It doesn't matter if they're being vetted or not. They can't find the terrorists. They can't identify them before they are let out into the United States for whatever the Biden administration wants them to do or have the freedom to make happen. I am telling you, people are celebrating the idea that Donald Trump might be going to jail. I am telling you, if a terror attack happens in this nation and it comes across the southern border, the people that perpetrated come across the southern border, the people responsible will go to jail prison for the rest of their lives. And that includes the President of the United States, the director of the DHS, the director of the FBI, all those people. They are complicit in this. They are complicit. The Department of Homeland Security is useless. All it is a political action committee. The FBI is much, much better at spying on opposition political candidates than they are taking care of the border or doing vetting or doing whatever it is they're supposed to do. What the hell is going on here? Now we have proof, irrefutable proof. ISIS-K terrorists, the same people that pulled off the Russian theater terror attack, are now found in this country. And they came across the southern border illegally. There will be blood. It will be on the hands of the people that have left this border wide open. And they should be held accountable to the fullest possible extent acceptable by law. They are setting us up. Somebody is going to get mangled, destroyed, murdered by people crossing the southern border, as if it hasn't happened. It's already happened. We already have all these people coming across, getting DUIs and turning their Buick into a murder weapon, running over somebody. But these people mean to kill a lot of people. Hundreds, in fact. That's what they mean. And they got these guys on the phone talking about what kind of bombs to use. So I want to know exactly how it was that these guys, A, got across, B, passed vetting, C, were detected. And I want to know exactly how many days it was before they were arrested. That's what I want to know. Don't have that information yet. Why? Because the FBI, DHS, they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know how many days, weeks, months these ISIS-K terrorists were wandering around in the country trying to find some murder weapons to use. They just don't want you to know. Why? Well, because it's an election year, of course. 8 ISIS terrorists entered the U.S. illegally. They passed vetting. And they were arrested. And nobody knows. Nobody has told the people of the United States how many days between the time they walked across the border and the time they were arrested. These people are going to get us killed. That's absolutely true. While they play their political games, and while they fool around in Washington, D.C., trying to find new ways to hinder, arrest their political opponents, there are people meaning to do us harm. They have been successful. This particular variant of ISIS, ISIS-K, has pulled off a successful terror attack in a theater in one of the most secure states in the world, Russia. We've got a southern border that's wide open, and military-aged single males cross it every day. Just exactly what are these people doing? I want answers, and so do you. We'll find them, and we'll have them here on the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris? not much closer, and again, airfare.
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Good morning. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number is 817-379-2172. We woke up this morning with the shocking news. 8 ISIS-K terrorists have been arrested in the United States after they were properly vetted and after they crossed illegally. Yeah, the DHS and FBI. Oh, God, so glad you got these guys. Well done. How many days did they have to walk into a theater someplace and blow everybody away? Which is what they did, by the way, in Russia. Not the same people, of course, but the same group. So how many days did they have that opportunity? While you guys playing politics with the border allowed them to just go across. Oh, but don't worry. There are people saying, no, President Biden has closed the border. He's written an XO, an executive order. His recently unveiled border security policy, says Fox, will likely do little to fix the surge in the crossing attempts at the southern border. This according to an immigration policy think tank. Yeah, that's good. A think tank. At present, the government is offering neither investment nor solutions, reads an American Immigration Council of the Biden policy. It is essentially crossing its fingers that the asylum system will fix itself. Really? Yeah, really. Absolutely. This is from a local television station. It's called The News Desk, and they nailed it. Watch this. This is amazing coverage.
Governor Greg Abbott said something Sunday that I thought was very important to understand. First, the Border Patrol in different sectors along the border have reported no change in the surge so far this week. But here is what Governor Abbott said in an interview on Sunday. Let's listen.
Listen, people need to understand that what Biden has done, he's not doing anything to actually secure the border. In fact, it's the opposite because he's actually authorizing more people to cross the border illegally. And think about this, when you get to that 2,500 number of people crossing the border a day that he says he will allow, but only then stop the asylum process. When he stops the asylum process, there's nothing that Biden is doing that actually is preventing anybody else from crossing the border.
So, Mark, let's just take a look at the facts here. Let's take a look at the data. According to CBP, there was 5,600 encounters on Wednesday, okay, including 4,000 illegal crossings and CBP One app releases at ports of entry. Nearly 10,000 foreign nationals in Border Patrol custody on Thursday, a number 4 times the limit set by Biden's order. Is anyone actually being turned away?
No, Jan, and nothing has changed, and that's the point. I think that's one of the many big lies that this administration is trying to put forth. As you said, since the executive order went into place, the following days, the total encounters at our southwest border have exceeded 5,000 per day. I want to make something very clear. This executive order is not going to shut down the border, not for a day, not for an hour, not for a second. And this administration knows this. As you talked about, as the governor talked about, it actually allows 2,500 illegal aliens per day in between our ports of entry. That equates to 75,000 a day. And when you read the fine print, there are too many loopholes to keep up with. For example, the CBP One app, as you mentioned, this executive order allows those individuals to come up to land port of entry or fly into one of 45 airports. That equates to 80,000 per month. An executive order, it doesn't even impact the northern border at all, and it also exempts unaccompanied minors. So it's actually going to allow over 2 million illegal and inadmissible aliens into this country annually.
And
that's why we say this is not a serious or meaningful border security bill.
Yeah, that's the state of play. And the government is responsible. And terrorists are coming across. And they're playing handsy-footsy political garbage games while we're being exposed to murder and mayhem from terrorists coming across the southern border and being fully vetted by the DHS. Yeah, we got all that taken care of. Yeah, these terrorists are perfectly safe, not like the unsafe terrorists that are everywhere else. But by golly, we're doing our job here at DHS and FBI. Yeah, in a pig's eye. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. This is the Wells Report. Sorry, this one disgusts me. I've been down there. I've seen too much of that border and see too much of that border wide open, just begging for a terror attack. Back with more in a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Good morning. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells, thank you very much for being here on this 12th day of June, year of our Lord, 2024. Bringing you the news honestly and fairly. President Biden has watched his son be convicted on felony charges for violating federal law in buying a gun when he was a drug addict. That was very quickly decided by a jury. That happened yesterday. And now the president is reportedly blaming his re-election campaign for his son Biden's conviction. He said this, quote, "If I weren't running for re-election, he would have gotten the plea deal," unquote. This President Biden reportedly told a person close to him earlier this month. It was reported by Politico. The younger Biden's initial plea deal fell apart in July of 2023. Hunter Biden found guilty on all 3 counts by a Delaware jury. He faces up to 25 years in prison. He's not expected to receive the maximum penalty. The White House said that the Politico or told Politico the ruling would take an emotional toll on the president. The White House did not respond to Fox News for a request for comment. Biden found out about his son's guilty verdict as he was preparing for his remarks on gun violence and headed back to his Wilmington, Delaware home to be with Hunter. This, according to Politico. The president said he would not pardon his son. We'll see. We will see. In an interview with ABC News' David Muir in Normandy, France, before the federal trial conclusion, Biden said he would accept the results. He said he would also rule out pardoning Hunter if convicted. The president's son was found guilty of making false statements in the purchase of a gun, making false statements related to information required to be kept by a federally licensed gun dealer, and the possession of a gun by a person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to a controlled substance. After the verdict, the president released a statement expressing love and support and noted his son's well-known struggles with addiction. Quote, "As I said last week, I am the president, but I'm also a dad. Jill and I love our son, and we are so proud of the man he is today." Unquote. So, the president of the United States blames his re-election campaign for Hunter Biden's legal problems. This is an accountability problem. The president can't blame anything for what his son is going through. This is his son's issue. It has nothing to do with the president at all. Nothing the president has done impacts any of this, up to and including whether or not Hunter Biden was going to be charged with this. The president also said, well, the campaign illuminated our family. Yeah, it illuminated our family and the apparent abuse of just about everything United States by your family. I mean, I guess peripherally you could say that the public interest in the Biden family may have led Hunter Biden to have all of this exposed. But frankly, all of this was exposed in his laptop, which was immediately denied by the people who wanted to make the politics work without having to make the reality of what's behind the politics work. It's ridiculous. Man, I'm in a grumpy mood today. It's all because of this terror thing. These terrorists coming across the border, it just makes me mad as hell. And this sham executive order that theoretically was supposed to do something about it and does nothing. Absolutely nothing. I've said many occasions, the most important thing to do is have the government of the United States do big, dumb things. Build big highways all the way across the country. Build gigantic dams to hold back water so we have water to drink. Have a military that goes out and destroys everything in its path when it's ordered to. And yes, have a real border. That's what we expect of the federal government. That's all it can do. That's all it should do. And it can't accomplish those things. And yet, this same government that can't accomplish anything is $32 trillion in debt. Where did that money go? So, we watch all this unfold. We see that the political process, once again, is failing America because it's not getting anything real done. And real, in the case of the border of the United States and Mexico, is simple. Here's a big dumb thing they should do. Close the flipping border from end to end except for the international ports of entry. Close it. Close the border. The Border Patrol is really, really good at patrolling that border. They know exactly how to do it. Let them. Build a fence from one end of the United States to the other end of the United States on the southern border. Build the entire wall there. Yes, it can be breached. Yes, it can be crossed. But it's a real hindrance to people that want to do it. So by all means, let's put it up. Let's stop screwing around and close this border. It may very well be too late. There are I can't even tell you how many military-aged males are in the United States that have crossed the border illegally, pled asylum, and just walked right in. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I added this up. I added it up, and I said that there are enough immigrants. There are enough, according to some research, there are enough people here that there could be an 8,000 member army in every state in the United States. What are they going to do? The answer is anything they want. The BLM riots showed that a very few number of people can create a huge amount of chaos in cities across the nation. But they were arguably amateurs. What would real professional soldiers do in that same situation? That's all because of the southern border. And the president is, so worried about his son. I get it. He's got to be worried about his son. But what about my son? My other 3 sons? What about my wife and family? What about your wife and family? This executive order is just ridiculous. What about us, Mr. President? I know you want to protect your son and your family, but what about ours? A lot of people say that, and I'm one of them, a lot of people say that indeed President Biden will not run for re-election. At some point, he will step aside. And who does that indicate to be the heir apparent? Why, California Governor Gavin Newsom. There's a guy out there who has written an op-ed. His name is Tom Del Beccaro. And Mr. Del Beccaro says the following: last year, Governor Gavin Newsom was astride the national political stage as people wondered whether he would be running for president. Now, Newsom is nowhere to be found outside California. The reasons are simple. They include the failing state that he governs. In 2023, Gavin Newsom positioned himself well among Democrats. Many thought he was running for president. They took the fight to Republicans on numerous issues, such as the climate, abortion, and the economy. Newsom was seen on national TV repeatedly, even positioning himself as the foil to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who was actually running for president. Newsom, however, has disappeared from the national stage, even though some still speculate that he would replace Biden at the convention. Del Beccaro says here are 5 reasons why he's disappeared. So Newsom's failed debate with DeSantis. Newsom's peak on the national stage was his debate with Ron DeSantis. Contrary to what many people have said, the debate did not go well for Newsom. It was the first time the nation had access to an unscripted Newsom for an extended period of time. As someone who won the post-U.S. Senate debate poll against Kamala Harris in 2016, it's my view that there are 3 things every candidate must do in a big debate. They must answer questions, propose solutions, and they must be likable. Del Beccaro said Newsom did not accomplish any of those things. His own wife pulled him off stage after Newsom agreed to extend the debate. Newsom proposed few solutions, chose to attack DeSantis more than answer to questions. Newsom's distraction from the Biden campaign had to end. This is another reason why we won't see Newsom. For a period of time, it helped the Democrats that Newsom was taking the fight to Republicans. Newsom was good at attacking Republicans when he did not have to answer questions about his own record. Once Biden made it clear he was not going to step aside, Newsom's young, virile forays against Republicans became a problem. It took the spotlight from Biden and fueled the calls for Biden to step aside. The third reason, California is a mess and getting worse. On the debate stage, Gavin Newsom boasted, as he usually does, about how great California is. Pictures and numbers say otherwise. Less than a week after the debate, a CBS Sacramento affiliate ran this headline: what contributed to California's record $68 billion budget deficit? That deficit has gotten progressively worse since then, and big spending cuts are required, never a calling card for Democrats running for president. Of course, crime is out of control in California. You can see it for yourself. The headlines are everywhere. Del Beccaro points out that California is ground zero for the nationwide insurance crisis. Across the country, a home insurance crisis is on the rise. However, California's insurance crisis, dates back to Proposition 103, a 1988 ballot initiative that rolled back existing rates. Matters have only become worse over the years. In 2023, this story ran about California. 7 of California's largest property insurers, State Farm, Allstate, Farmers, USAA, Travelers, Nationwide, and Chubb, recently decided to limit new homeowner policies in the Golden State, raising questions about the stability of California's home insurance. The other thing is California's housing crisis. Beyond the insurance problem, only 15% of Californians can afford a home. 15%. This, according to California's Public Policy Institute, the problem has been decades in the making. That was their assessment in 2020. For people that live in California, none of that is news. They live with those problems every single day or not. Hundreds of thousands of people have left California for greener pastures. Under Newsom's watch, California has lost a congressional seat due to population lost for the first time in history. And so when we start talking about the 2024 election, we start talking about Joe Biden's record, we start talking about the idea that he might indeed be reelected. We point out that the only reason he might be running is because there's nobody else that wants to run. That's my theory. Gavin Newsom doesn't want to run for president in 2024. He wants Joe Biden to go down in flames. He wants to be the savior of the Democrat Party in the post-Biden world. And maybe that might work. I doubt it. People are getting extremely upset with whatever this progressivism actually means. California is a mess, and it is getting worse. Tom Del Caro is absolutely correct. And you hang that around Gavin Newsom's head, his neck, and that's that. We don't need a United States that looks like California. $68 billion in debt. $68 billion. How much money did California squander coming out of COVID-19? They got hundreds of billions then. Where did that money go? This is embezzlement. Embezzlement not just for the state of California, but for the United States of America as well. When you consider Nancy Pelosi's speakership, Nancy Pelosi could be responsible for almost all of the national debt that we currently deal with. Certainly the most recent 20 years of it. That is now up to $32 trillion in debt. Trillion. We have exactly one resource, big enough and valuable enough to be able to work our way out of that hole. And that's the nation's energy reserves. But the government, no, you can't tap those reserves. You can't. Unless there's an election coming, and then we'll release hundreds of billions of barrels of gasoline to push the price of gasoline down. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's brilliant. This is a major issue. This is a major issue. There is no way that I can see possible for Joe Biden to be able to clean up any of this. I don't even know whether Joe Biden is actually making decisions. I don't think he is. But here we are. Joe Biden running for president. Nobody wants the job behind him. Gavin Newsom is not the answer. What is the answer? What is the solution? We'll talk about that next as we continue here on the Wells Report. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. The Wells Report in progress. Thanks very much for being here. And I'll see you back in just a couple of moments after these very important announcements that you should pay attention to and even take them up on. Thanks.
Vayata.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells waiting for your phone call at 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. President Biden is running for office. Does he have a chance? Sure. Should he have a chance? No. No. President Biden is impaired. It happens to everybody. It's nothing you can do anything about. And it has happened, and he is not qualified to be the president of the United States. And that's just simply the case. And it does come on a case-by-case basis. There's a guy who's almost as old as Joe Biden running for president, still sharp, makes mistakes, sure, but not to the level that Joe Biden does. Joe Biden can barely walk. Joe Biden can barely think. He can barely talk. Every time I do that, by the way, I think I add to my karma debt, because there are days when I can't get this to work either. But the simple case of the matter is that Joe Biden needs to step aside. But nobody's telling him to. Because I think the Democrat Party is perfectly willing to let President Biden fail as opposed to walking away a winner. And I think that that's ruthless. You know, we've talked about President Biden being in office in the first place as elder abuse. And so I believe that Robert Hur had it right. A feeble, well-meaning man that has serious or has memory problems and is too feeble and too sympathetic. He's too sympathetic a figure to expect to win in court with a case against him. the federals would win against the president. And that's probably true. Probably true. But this feeble old man is at the head of something else. The real problem with the Democrat Party. And the real problem with the Democrat Party are the progressive elites that are pulling the buttons and pushing the string, or pulling the strings and pushing the buttons in Democrat Party politics. They are not Democrats. Arguably, they're not even Americans. And yet they're able to dispatch the FBI to hammer on parents who stand up at school board meetings. They are perfectly willing to allow the absurdities of the DOJ to continue unfettered. Really? The FBI is much better at playing politics than actually doing their job these days. And I guess that's okay. These are the same people that believe the laws are wrong, the criminals are right, and they need to be released from an overly oppressive society. Only for them to come back and wreak more mayhem, kill more people, injure more people, do more property damage. And that leads us to the solution. The Democrat Party has to rid itself of these progressive anti-Americans. This Democrat Party has to say, you know what? The Constitution of the United States is a very, very good thing. So are the Bill of Rights. Those rights are amazingly good, including the Second Amendment. And what we need to do is we need to support them wholeheartedly. And what they need to do is they need to realize that a government or a particular political party that believes that a government should pay the bills of its citizens is not a government worth having or a political pursuit worth taking. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. That's not only a Democrat mantra, a real Democrat mantra. That is the way forward for the Democrat Party if they choose to pursue it. If they don't choose to pursue it, then they face political ruin and maybe personal ruin. They have set this up. The Democrat Party has set themselves up as being responsible for the next 9/11 style terror attack in the United States. And it all centers on that border. It all centers on the border. If there's a terror attack, a major terror attack in an American city, and the people responsible have been found to cross that southern border, that will be the end of the Democrat Party. That'll be the end of it. There will not be a Democrat Party if that happens, because the American people simply will not tolerate it. That's the way I see it. Am I wrong? 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. If you believe this show has any value whatsoever, support it. Subscribe to it. Share it with your friends. Ask them to subscribe. By all means, light the notification buttons. Light them up. Light the notification button so you know when we're on the air. And, of course, whatever you do, give us those thumbs ups. Hey, we like this guy, or we like this show. It's not about me. It's about the news. 817-379-2172 is our telephone number. You can call that. You can also join us on the chat room, which would be very, very cool if you want to. You can join, let's see, Kyle Clark. Kyle Clark is a paratrooper reenactor, and he just jumped into Normandy. Amazing. And there are all kinds of folks out there waiting for you on the chat room. Make sure you head on over there. Yvonne is with us, and we want to thank all the people in the chat room and you for watching the Wells Report. We will be back with more coming up in just a moment. Hour number 2, in fact, is next.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning, I'm John David Wells. What do we do on this broadcast? We report the news, honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. We make opinions, you make opinions. Let's compare them. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Thanks for joining us. By the way, I just mentioned last hour, Kyle Clark. He is typing in from Normandy, France. He jumped with the Liberty Jump Team for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. It was an incredible week. Tens of thousands of people showed up, I bet. I've been there. It is hallowed ground. It is hallowed ground that is something that everybody should go see. You should go to Normandy, France, and you should hang out there for several days and take a look at just exactly the unbelievable magnitude of what happened on June 6th, 1944. It was unbelievable. Let's move on with the news. There is a fight between House Republicans and the Attorney General of the United States. As a matter of fact, it all centers around audio recordings of the president, who was dealing with a special counsel named Robert Hur regarding classified documents. And indeed, Robert Hur found that President Biden did illegally hold classified material, but did not recommend charges because he was dealing with a feeble old man with a poor memory. That's what he said. Well, the Republicans now want, after getting the transcripts of that interview with Robert Hur, where he came to that conclusion, that the president was not competent to stand trial, but still somehow competent to run the presidency. Don't ask me how that works. But the simple case of the matter is that House Republicans want those recordings. There are politics involved. We'll get to that coming up in just a couple of moments. But here's the USA Today news. House Republicans will ramp up their fight with the Biden administration's Department of Justice as early as today, preparing to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. The lower chamber is expected to vote on the contempt resolution as retaliation after the Department of Justice refused to hand over recordings of President Joe Biden's interview with special counsel Robert Hur. Hur investigated whether Biden mishandled classified documents after his tenure as vice president, but ultimately did not recommend any criminal charges. That particular paragraph requires a little bit of scrutiny. On the broadcast, we do point out that we analyze the news for fact and bias. There is both misfact and bias in this particular paragraph. Let me go through it again. The lower chamber is expected to vote on the contempt resolution as retaliation after the Department of Justice refused to hand over recordings. It's not retaliation. It is not retaliation. It is, if you wish, a remedy. It is a coercion, if you want to. That's a bad word, but it works. But the actual word they should have used is to compel the Department of Justice to hand over the recordings of President Joe Biden. It is not retaliation for not doing what they are supposed to do. When the Congress comes calling and they ask for public information, which this is, you hand it over. If you do not, you're in contempt of Congress. And if indeed, as these people stand up and say to the high heavens, no one is above the law, does that include Merrick Garland? You bet it does. Continuing. House Republicans' contempt push against Garland includes a referral to the U.S. Attorney of the District of Columbia for criminal prosecution. Yeah. This will almost certainly not happen even if the House were to pass the effort, but GOP investigators would sue or could sue the Justice Department to obtain the audio recordings, which would spark a lengthy legal battle, which would, of course, take it past the election. And that's something the Democrats absolutely do not want to have happen. Now they talk a little bit in this article about how there's a razor-thin majority in the House. They also refer to the Republican Party as an unwieldy conference. I mean, this particular article is dripping with political bias. Republicans advanced contempt resolutions out of the House Oversight and Judiciary Committees last month. All leaders already held back a full vote on the House to hold Garland in contempt after a handful of moderate GOP lawmakers were skeptical about picking another fight with the justice system. Again, more bias. Their concerns come as Republicans continue to rail against New York prosecutors after former President Donald Trump was convicted in his New York hush money trial. Okay, first of all, it was a business fraud trial, not a hush money trial. That's thing number one. Thing number two, this is not retaliation for that. That is not retaliation for that. It is an attempt to balance the scale to rid the entire Congress and congressional political effort as hypocritical, which is what it is right now. I know exactly why those audio tapes have to remain unheard. Because the president isn't capable of actually having a cogent conversation without multiple miscues, bumbles, falling asleep, etc. And those audio recordings would have all of it. The transcript would not. The transcript would not have any of this. It would just have the words. When did you have these classified documents moved to your house? And it wouldn't have any of the typical President Biden off-script rambling and bumbling. But the audio tapes would. Which is why Merrick Garland will not release them. Now, I have no ill wishes against President Biden. I don't. My job is to not get him elected or not. My job is to report the news. And yes, to analyze it. And yes, to also offer opinion. This is not a partisan statement when I say that these tapes should be released. It's not a partisan statement to say, I understand why they're not being released. I'm not trying to hurt the president in any way, shape, or form, but if those tapes show the depth of the impairment that the president actually is dealing with, and we all know he is, then we need to hear those tapes. And the process required to get those tapes into the public domain indeed may go through the Attorney General's office and may indeed lead to legal ramifications. And frankly, I think they should. Because this government needs to be called to heel. We don't know who runs the presidency. We do know who does not run the presidency, and that is the guy that was elected to be the president. Merrick Garland is also one of the marionettes that we see publicly. But who's the puppet master in this government? Who are the puppet masters? There are probably more than one of them. Who's calling the shots in the Biden administration? And whoever it is wants President Biden to succeed because they don't want Garland to release those audio tapes. That's the way I see it. The audio tapes have way too much information they don't want you to have. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, this from Fox News, she's a Republican from Florida, is vowing to force a vote on Attorney General Merrick Garland's arrest if the Department of Justice fails to act on a criminal contempt resolution backed by House GOP leaders. Luna told Fox News Digital yesterday evening she would plan to force a vote on her inherent contempt resolution against Garland after the full House Representatives weighs the Biden official's fate with a separate measure. As of right now, we fully intend to bring it. I really don't have much faith in the Department of Justice. I don't think the American people do either. Honestly, how could we? How could we have faith in the Department of Justice? With everything being political, therefore, no holds barred. How can it be trustworthy? I don't get it. She goes on to say that she's trying to bring back a level playing field and show that there should be accountability all the way to the top. Talking about Merrick Garland. I agree. She added, if the DOJ won't do their jobs, we'll do it for them. Inherent contempt differs from contempt resolution expected to come up for a vote on Wednesday this afternoon. Whereas the latter would refer Garland to his own Department for Criminal Charges, inherent contempt, if passed, would direct the House Sergeant at Arms to arrest Garland on the premises. Luna said she would be circulating a letter among her colleagues explaining inherent contempt and the need for it. Inherent contempt of Congress hasn't been done since the early 1900s. Before that, it was pretty common practice. I think when you have to explain to people what inherent contempt of Congress is, and when they see that subpoenas are being ignored, and that there seems to be a two-tiered justice system, which we're seeing nationally, every single person is realizing that. I think they will understand. I understand. Do you? Jesse says zero faith in the government. Zero faith. How could you have faith in the government? How? How do you have faith in this government? This government, as has been the case for many, many years, may be the biggest threat to American freedom and liberty. It's its own government, our nation's own government. With every strident statement that we'll all be driving electric cars when there are now seven recharging stations. And oh, by the way, why are we, the people of the United States, the taxpayers of the U.S., why are we in a position where we're paying for electric recharging zones? Did we pay for, pick an oil company? Did we pay for Chevron to build gas stations around the country? No. No, we didn't. Then why are we, the people of the United States, why is the government trying to spend billions upon billions of dollars to put up charging stations? And they've got 8 on the ground so far. Well done. They're thinking they can put more of them up in a couple of years? No. And how in heaven's name are you going to be able to charge a car in the amount of time it takes to get a full tank of gas? All of this comes from this leftist ideology. It is contempt of Congress. As we see, it's contempt of the American process. It's contempt of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. And that is all this progressive puppeteering with Joe Biden as the fall guy. That's all they're providing us. And that all goes with a Biden administration. Biden the puppet. Is that what you want for this country? Do you want a puppet to be the president of the United States? Yes or no? 817-379-2172. This is the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. The 2024 election year rolls on, and Nancy Mace has won the South Carolina 1st Congressional District primary over Kevin McCarthy-based challenger. Not based, but backed challenger. Yeah, this is setting up a question, or the answers to the question, just exactly who is the Republican Party following? Is it the moderate Kevin McCarthy? Is it the populist Donald Trump? In this particular race, Donald Trump comes out on top with an endorsement to Nancy Mace, who won over a primary candidate that was backed by former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Wow. By the way, she was one of 8 House Republicans who voted last year to oust McCarthy. She was targeted by the former Speaker. For a second straight election, Republican Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina survived a serious primary challenge. The Associated Press projected that Mace will win renomination in South Carolina's competitive, low country-based 1st Congressional District by defeating Catherine Templeton, a former director of South Carolina's labor agency who ran unsuccessfully for governor in 2018, and Marine Corps veteran Bill Young. Templeton was backed by millions spent by outside groups aligned with former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Yeah, we did it. You low country voters or low country voters did it 1,000 times over. Thank you, she wrote in a social media post. Mace was first elected to the House in 2020. She survived a Republican primary challenge 2 years ago from a rival backed by former President Donald Trump. Trump had targeted Mace after she blamed him for the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol by Trump supporters aiming to upend congressional certification of President Biden's 2020 electoral victory. Fast forward 2 years, Mace now has Trump's backing after she endorsed the former president and campaigned for him earlier this year in South Carolina's crucial GOP presidential primary. However, unlike 2 years ago, then Speaker McCarthy had her back. The now former Speaker targeted Mace, who last year was one of 8 House Republicans to break ranks and vote to oust McCarthy. The former Speaker is seeking revenge as he works to defeat 8 lawmakers in electoral politics. Okay, so hold on a second here. I pointed out bias on the part of USA Today. Here's some here. Okay, the former Speaker is seeking revenge as he works to defeat the 8 Republican lawmakers who voted for his ouster. You know, the simple case of the matter is you don't know what he's thinking. You don't realize whether he's seeking revenge, as you say, or not. You need to keep your you need to keep your opinion and your politics to yourself, especially when you're doing the news. That is just the way it goes. So that's one story. There's another story out of Nevada. Senator Jackie Rosen, she's the Democrat senator from Nevada, did win her Democrat Senate primary yesterday, setting herself up for a difficult general election matchup come November in the swing state. The incumbent Democrat managed to easily defeat her opponents, Troy Walker and Mike Schaefer. She was able to get around those people, but now she's got somebody else. She's got a serious Republican candidate that has the backing of Donald Trump. November will be Rosen's first re-election battle as a senator. Her seat is not guaranteed. The Nevada Senate race has been moved to a toss-up state earlier this year by a nonpartisan political handicapper, the Cook Political Report. So in other words, that Senate battle could very well be a toss-up, which means that could be won by a Republican insofar as things in Nevada are not necessarily working as well as people want them to work. By the way, prior to running for the Senate in 2017, the incumbent Jackie Rosen was a representative in Nevada's 3rd congressional district in the House. According to her, the late former Senate Majority Leader and Democrat powerhouse Harry Reid encouraged her to run for the Senate seat, and she was good enough to win it. She managed to defeat incumbent Senator Dean Heller, who was considered vulnerable at the time. This is the Wells Report. Back with more in a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. We bring you the news, analysis, commentary, and debate. It's what we do, and it's interesting to see just exactly how far the United States has come in the last, say, 23 years. I've been doing the Wells Report since 9/11, 2001, and to see how the country has morphed, it has been an amazing ride. I have a catbird seat here. I get to watch all the news every day, and I get to report the important stuff to you, factually and honestly. It's a wonderful job, but it's also illuminating. Some things are triumphant. Some things are deeply disturbing. This is all leavened with the idea of just exactly how strong the people of the United States actually are. When there are people that are seeking to diminish us or try to subdue us in some way, shape, or form. The American people find a way to throw those shackles away, and the people who wield them. And, we're in a situation where, once again, we're scaring ourselves to death right before an election. The degenerate back and forth in politics, where one particular political party believes that the only way to get elected is to destroy the other candidate through personal means or whatever means possible. Now, I understand why Democrats are going through this tactic of trying to turn Donald Trump into, Adolf Hitler. They don't have anything else to run on. They have to make Donald Trump worse than what people are dealing with right now, or more fearful of him. So what? Why would the Democrat Party want to make him the actual issue of this campaign when what they are doing is admitting their own fault when they do it? Donald Trump is a bad guy. He's a convicted felon. He's this, he's that. It's all concocted garbage. And that's what the American people already know. Certainly the Trump base knows that. This is all political. It is third worldly. I mean, New York is a third world country now. There's not really much different. Well, there's a lot of difference there's one important difference between New York and Haiti. New York has a lot more money than Haiti does. But the ridiculous incompetence of that entire country is, and thus being compared to New York is well down the track to become Haiti, and I have no interest whatsoever in going to New York. I don't think anybody else should either. I mean, I'm not going to Haiti either. Would you? Why would you go to New York? It's a banana republic. There's nothing there worth seeing. There's nothing there worth seeing. I mean, as a matter of fact, if you're the right person, politics will stop an entire Broadway show just so the cast can read you the riot act. Screw that. No, sorry. No, I'm done with New York. I don't see any reason to go there. I don't see any reason to visit there. I don't see any reason to enrich New York. It's a third world country. And so, getting back to what I was talking about, this political process of turning somebody into, Adolf Hitler is not working, first of all, and second of all, is damaging to the nation. If you find yourself in a political mess that is so bad that what you have to do is you have to make the entire campaign about your opponent because you don't have a record to run on, may I suggest that you come up with better political policies that lead to more success, not for your party, not for your government buddies, but for the people of the United States. How about you do that? So there was a moment from USA Today, by the way. There was a moment when Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito was asked basically to describe what he called a farcical scenario, a ridiculous circumstance where everybody knows that it's a farce, everybody knows that this whole thing is ridiculous, but they suspend disbelief for whatever reason, for normally comedic processes, comedic things. But there's nothing funny about this. But Samuel Alito, a few years ago, described what he called a farcical scenario. Here it is. What if a sitting president is criminally charged by New York, he postulated. I mean, this guy's got ESP. Could he be sent to Rikers Island or face restrictions on his travel? Apparently, yes. Would he have to put his presidential responsibilities aside to sit in a courtroom? Remember, Alito is talking about a sitting president. Could aides approach him during the trial to whisper in his ear about pressing matters? Could the court recess if he needed to talk to a foreign leader? And if the president were convicted, Alito concluded, could he be imprisoned? That was the untenable situation that might result if the Supreme Court didn't put enough restraints on the ability of state and local prosecutors to go after presidents, Alito wrote in his disagreement with how the majority of his colleagues decided in 2020 that a New York prosecutor could seek then President Donald Trump's tax records. See, that was a mistake. See, that's why we have a Supreme Court. See, this is the reason. They should have thought that this might have been exploited. You know, one of the problems with going outside the law to interpret the law is that people can set traps for you. And one of them was a case before the Supreme Court about a New York prosecutor demanding then President Donald Trump's tax records. Well, President Donald Trump's tax records. Well, okay. So now what are you left with? Now what are you left with? Well, now you have local prosecutors going after the president and indeed being successful in nailing 34 felony counts on a former president. Talk about destroying the country. And it wasn't fair. The trial wasn't fair. The jury selection wasn't fair. The placement of the trial wasn't fair. Nothing was fair. It will be overturned on appeal. But who's to say that if indeed those convictions are the reason that Donald Trump loses this election and then he's exonerated from them on appeal? That's something else you have to keep in mind. The confounding political moves in this particular election cycle are something we all need to remember. So, the untenable situation that might result if the Supreme Court didn't put enough restraints on the ability of state and local prosecutors to go after presidents is something that Alito wrote about in his disagreement with that particular case, with the tax case. The records request that it was the records request was an early step in the investigation that led last month to Trump's conviction on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, for which he will be sentenced next month. That New York case, the election interference charges Trump faces in Georgia, pose a different obstacle to the presumptive GOP nominee than the two federal indictments he's fighting. I think those federal indictments are pretty much history at this point, but we'll see. State charges, there is a remedy here. Listen to what this article talks about. If Trump becomes president again, he cannot order the Justice Department to dismiss the Georgia charges and can't try to pardon himself for the New York conviction. But he can make the case that Alito did, that Georgia shouldn't have been able to interfere with his running of the country through a trial, and New York cannot lock him up or restrict his travel if he receives a lesser sentence like probation. That argument is based on the section of the Constitution, listen close, that makes the federal government the supreme law of the land. That's actually a misquote. It's not the federal government. The federal government is not the supreme law of the land. Federal law is the supreme law of the land. This is being reported by USA Today. Apparently, they took their journalism class off when it taught about actually reporting the truth. Unbelievable. So Stephen Sadow, Trump's attorney, said, I believe that under the Supremacy Clause and his duties as President of the United States, this trial should not take place at all until after he left his term of office. He was overseeing the election interference case in December. I would say that he shouldn't face state charges after he leaves office for this exact reason. By the way, that exchange came long before the case bogged down over whether Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis should be disqualified, making it a probable trial that won't take place before the presidential election. Now it's even more certain than that. If Trump should win, he'll be reaching for the Supremacy Clause as a lifeline. As with many things involving the first American president to be criminally convicted, the nation is in uncharted territory. And that's what I want to spend a little time talking about. So many of us, looking from the outside in, saw the Trump trial to be unfair, unwarranted, and patently ridiculous. There were precedents in place where fines were paid and the story went away. But not this time. No, this time we're trying to put a former president into jail. That is what we are trying to do. And when you start thinking about all of this uncharted territory, who's responsible for putting us into this uncharted territory? Why, the Democrat Party, of course. The American left. Going after Donald Trump with such bloodlust that they will throw the entire country into chaos just for the sake of trying to get rid of this guy. That's inexcusable. Uncharted territory. Why did we need to go here in the first place? Why are we traipsing through uncharted territory? Because these people cannot defeat Donald Trump unless they try to destroy him personally. I'm sure these politicians from time to time say, hey, this is just business. It's nothing personal. No, not this time. This is personal. The person that they're trying to defeat is Donald Trump. And they're trying not to defeat his policies, his policy ideas, his vision for the nation. No, they're trying to destroy him personally. And so far it's failed. And this entire felony case mumbo jumbo is the uncharted territory that's damaging the nation. And the people responsible should be held accountable. So there could be a legitimate argument for the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution to overrule all of this. This, according to criminal law expert Benjamin N. Cardozo of the School of Law in New York City. It's a combination of the Supremacy Clause and, I suppose, a constitutional common sense, if there's any such thing as common sense in this situation, where we're talking about a president who's elected even though he's been convicted of crimes having to do with a prior election, according to Reinert. Yeah, that's the guy's name. It's not, let's see. Hold on. Alex Reinert is a criminal law expert at the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law in New York City. Okay, so it's Alex Reinert who says all this. In the Georgia case, Judge Scott McAfee said in December the question about whether Trump could be tried if he became president again might be worth considering in the pretrial proceedings. Just like you might consider just exactly what the legal ramifications are of the appeal of Donald Trump's 34 felony convictions. Do you believe that he's going to win on appeal? That's what you have to factor in here. If you believe anything, that there's any kind of importance in this whatsoever, you have to factor that in to your thought process. Man, it's just so rude to impose this political food fight on the people of the United States. To impose this should be simple. Which of these candidates will be the best president? That's what it should be. But no, we're willing to do anything necessary to destroy a candidate because for whatever reason, we believe he's a bigger threat than the damage we're doing to our own credibility and reputations, which is considerable. It's just an imposition. It's just rude. It's just ridiculously rude. How far down the gutter do these people have to go before they realize they're defeating themselves? How far do they have to take the country into the landfill, the stinking landfill full of bad ideas, before they suddenly realize that it's not working? It's unbelievable. And so we wait for presidential immunity decision from the Supreme Court of the United States. We wait for sanity to take hold again so that we don't have presidents and former presidents being charged in some municipal court someplace for grave crimes and high crimes and misdemeanors. It's unbelievable. This is the Wells Report. We'll be back with more coming up in just a moment.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. NBA great Jerry West has died. Jerry West was so dominant a player in the NBA that the silhouette of him driving toward the hoop is on the official NBA logo. He did more for the sport than possibly anyone else, because not only did he have a stellar playing career, but he also ended up being in management of the Lakers and doing amazing things with that organization. There's a guy who I think is the definitive voice of American sports. That's Dan Patrick. He has his own show. He's doing essentially what I'm doing. He decided to break away from the corporate mob and do his own thing. And his own thing is the Dan Patrick Show. And by all means, you should watch it. This is Dan Patrick talking about NBA great Jerry West.
Happened about 10 minutes ago. Jerry West has passed away at the age of 86. He was the logo and certainly a friend of the show. We tried to have him on. He'd be mad at me if I was emotional. He'd be like, what are you crying about? We tried to have him on recently, and he wasn't feeling well. I think he had a cold or the flu, and his wife said, try again. I think the last time we had him on was a little less than a year ago. And, he's a friend of the show and integral part of the show. Came on many, many, many times. Joined us in studio a couple of times when we were in Los Angeles. But listen stuff. Yeah, Paulie, help me out.
I just got to tell you, man, we found out about 3 or 4 minutes before you did. Sometimes we get information before you, and none of us in this room wanted to walk over and tell you this. We were waiting for the break. And, I know how important this guy was to you. I mean, we talk about Walter Payton for me, or everyone has an athlete that, and I think work on the show a long time. I'm sure he was your hero, your dad's. And then, and we saw a couple times, maybe about 10 years ago, he started coming on the show and he was sitting there with you and talking basketball. And I could tell that you were like kind of giddy. Like, I can't believe.
Well, I saw my dad.
Yeah. And I think
they were similar age.
Jerry walked out one day and he goes, "Thank you, my friend." And I could see you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's not something that's supposed to happen. And then on our 10th anniversary, Fritzy and I and Seaton and all the guys had an idea to surprise you for the 10th anniversary of the show. And we're like, let's ask Jerry West to come in at 7 a.m. West Coast time.
And he looked immaculate.
He was perfectly dressed.
Yeah.
He had to go on a flight 2 hours later, took time out of his day.
Yeah.
And we surprised you with a cake from Jerry's Cakes in Torrance.
Yeah.
And if it's not the greatest moment
It's
ever
up
on
there.
the show.
Yep.
So I wish we didn't have to tell you this, bud.
Yeah. Yes, Eden.
Jerry West has one of the most unique positions in sports history, and that with just one figure can occupy. He was a tremendous player. He's the logo of the sport. He is instrumental in drafting several of people who had then gone on to become some of the greatest people ever. His impact on the game is immeasurable, just in one person. And you could take, as an executive, it's one way, just as a marketing, I guess, even though it wasn't really his doing, just the logo itself is massive. And then just him as a player, it's like 3 or 4 separate careers that were all massive.
All Hall of Fame careers.
Yeah. I mean, his role and impact really can't be measured.
Yeah, you can see it. And Dan Patrick is a guy who, from time to time, has listened to this broadcast, and I have great regard for Dan. And I also relate to him when bad news comes by, usually by surprise. And you find yourself in a position where, because he is a genuinely caring man, talk about Dan Patrick, and I am too, emotions start to lead the conversation. And it's hard because those of us who care so much about what we do, Dan Patrick, and some of these amazing sports stars that he comes in contact with because of his show. From time to time, it will overcome you. This is a very serious moment in American sport. Jerry West, one of the legends, one of the giants of not just the NBA, but indeed the entire professional sports world. A man who led by example throughout all of the careers that you just talked about, that Dan Patrick just talked about with all of the people in that amazing show of his. It is a moment to pause and consider and contemplate as another of these great Americans passes on to, hopefully, the paradise and halcyon existence that they've earned so well while they were with us. This is the Wells Report. My name's John David Wells. Make sure that you listen to this broadcast because I'll be back again tomorrow. See you then. Well, alrighty then. Thanks all y'all. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Take good care of yourself, and I will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat station. Until then.